Some are calling this the Holy Trinity moment, and you better believe XRP is ready for it. And in today's update, we show you how it's never been more clear. The opportunity gap, the total addressable market for the XRP ledger. We're talking about Ripple's flows being at 16 trillion last year and growing. The DTCC, 3.7 quadrillion in 2024, 4.7 quadrillion in 2025, and continuing to grow. The opportunity gap is now quantifiable. It is crystal clear. 16 trillion for Ripple, 4.7 quadrillion for the DTCC. That's two institutions, part of this global payment network, part of tokenizing the entire securities and capital markets, bringing it on chain. And right now, we have next to nothing on chain so far. That's the opportunity gap. It is crystal clear, quantifiable, and that is why we are still so bullish on XRP, despite the bear market in the first half of this 2026 being terrible for crypto. But it's July 1st. We have made it here. Market's moving back up off of statements from Kevin Warsh that inflation may be showing signs of easing. Maybe. Bitcoin up 3%, adding 36 billion to its market cap. Ethereum up 3.3%, adding 6.6 billion to its market cap, with over 50 billion added to crypto in the past couple hours. Taking a look at the XLM chart, I'm kicking myself because I'm looking to make another entry into XLM. And I'd shared these targets with my Discord group, the 17-cent support down to the 15-cent level. XLM perfectly backtested that level, just came in at basically 16.9, right below 17 cents. And then has popped about 22% since, trading up here above 20 cents right now for XLM. Bitcoin above 60,000. XRP back up to $1.06. I'm not getting crazy excited yet, though, just knowing that the macro that is still in play could be a little bit of a problem for us. And specifically, I'm talking about that USD versus JPY pairing. I'm going to pull it up right here for you guys to take a look at. It was up to 162.8 last night, and this was actually happening while we were recording last night's live show. We made it up to 162.7. This 162 level, this yellow marker, is the level that it topped out at in August of 2024, when the carry trade started to unwind aggressively, and during that time, Bitcoin pulled back 30%, XRP pulled back 35%, and the S&P 500 pulled back nearly 10% when that carry trade started to unwind aggressively. And so I'm staying ready, right? The bottom's very close. If it hasn't already come in, it's very close. Bitcoin probably going to bottom between here and October. XRP may have already bottomed. Maybe it goes down to 90 cents like some TA folks are showing on their charts. I'm already buying. I'm buying XRP. I'm buying HBAR. I'm kicking myself for not getting my entry on XLM. I knew which levels it was probably going to find support at, and it bounces. But what we also had come out yesterday was President Trump's crypto holdings. And I want to remind everybody, whether we like it or love it or hate it or whatever, however we feel about President Trump, or just remove President Trump and acknowledge that the President of the United States owns crypto. The Chairman of the Federal Reserve owns crypto. All of these politicians in D.C. doing the D.C. dance while we fight over Clarity Act own crypto. And the part that really blew me away was President Trump. He has all of his crypto, 50 million plus worth of Bitcoin, in cold storage. Mr. President hasn't got institutional grade custody. I was actually surprised to hear that. But nonetheless, the acknowledgement that our president owns crypto, Kevin Warsh owns crypto, and the DTCC is ready to go live. We're going to play this for you guys here later in this update. The go live moment is this month here in July for the DTCC. Is it to the full scale of 4.7 quadrillion? Not yet. But the go live moment, it's here. Hester Peirce on the Clarity Act. She expects it to be done this summer. Let's run the clip.
Very hard on it. The House did their work, and the Senate has been working hard. So I do still I'm still optimistic that it will get done this summer. It's a lot of hours of work have been put in by a lot of people, both in the House and the Senate, and There's still a lot of work happening now, so I expect that we'll see it pass soon. It's legislation is very hard. I know that from the time that I spent on the Senate Banking Committee. There are a lot of moving pieces, and this is a big piece of legislation, and it's trying to do a lot of hard things too. So I think they're making good progress.
And the banks are getting in the way as well too. But that's okay, because the crypto lobby is showing up in DC, now the biggest corporate political spender in America. Ripple, Coinbase, Andreessen Horowitz, $189 million into the 2026 midterms. 37% of all 517 million in corporate donations tracked. This already beats the industry's entire 2024 spend, and November is still 4 months out. So we can call our politicians, we can write them letters, we can send them emails, we can call them, light up the phones. We also, if we have it, and Ripple has it, Coinbase has it, Andreessen Horowitz has it, flush with cash, ready to be deployed, ready to primary, ready to take out anybody that gets in the way of making America the crypto capital of the world. And because this shouldn't be this shouldn't be a partisan issue. It should be bipartisan. R's, D's, left, right, up, down. I don't care who you are, where you're from. We need a level playing field that includes digital assets. Just like I should have the ability to transact my precious metals, my cash, same thing in digital form. And that's all we're trying to get, is just simple rules of the road. We want the regulations. And it is coming, like Hester Peirce just said. It's likely that we're going to get this done. The DC dance, you got to let them play it out. You got to let the show continue on, but you know that it's coming. And here's the kicker. Here's why we get bullish regardless of whether the Clarity Act gets done or not, is because XRP is ready to go live. We already have clarity without the Clarity Act, and so does the DTCC. The DTCC got this no action letter, and this is why the DTCC's managing director and global head of digital assets here, Nadine Chakar, in this quote, she's going to call it the Holy Trinity moment. Infrastructure, custody solutions, infrastructure, right? Digital cash, and regulatory clarity from the SEC. Let's run the clip.
It's really not a pilot. I mean, if you look in clearly the report that Roy and Chris will discuss shortly, you look at a lot of the news that's come out this week as well. You're starting to see the convergence of the Holy Trinity, right? Like you've got infrastructure, got players like DTCC, NASDAQ, and New York Stock Exchange moving into the fray. We're seeing a lot more on digital cash, whether they're stable coins or tokenized deposits. We do need cash on rail to be able to move forward. And the third component is you need regulatory clarity, which we have been blessed to receive. So what you're starting to see is institutional investors starting to move off the sideways and moving into the sidelines and moving right into it. So when we tokenize on July 15th, it is not an experiment. These are real trades, real shares, real cash moving, and hopefully that would be the beginning of a long and wonderful tokenized environment in the US market. So we are done with POCs, we're done with experiments. This is about real world assets moving on real rails to make a real difference.
The Holy Trinity moment, including infrastructure, custody, and then you move on over to digital cash. We're talking about RLUSD and other US dollar stablecoins. And then they needed clarity, but they're not having to wait for the Clarity Act because they got it from the SEC in that no action letter. And last night I broke this down in the live show. If you missed the live show, maybe it's because you haven't subscribed yet. So let's fix that. Make sure you subscribed. And then also double up. Let's make sure it gets done. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our updates, because that might have been it. Let's make sure that YouTube is notifying you. But in last night's live show, I titled it XRP and DTCC ready to go live, because they're not waiting for the Clarity Act. XRP, we know it's not a security. We already have clarity without this legislation, but we can accelerate and go from 0 to 16 trillion for the flow that Ripple controls, and go from 0 to 4.7 quadrillion, right? With the Clarity Act getting passed and more banks and institutions can start to bring their flows of liquidity on chain as well too. Right? So despite the fact that I love that XRP has clarity in and of itself, I love the fact that the DTCC has the no action letter and they can start. They're just two institutions. I want everybody else. I want the level playing field. As we've always been saying, we never wanted XRP to have some, competitive advantage because we were chosen and other ones weren't. That kind of happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And it ended, and we see, 10 years later, or basically 8 years later after the Bill Hinman Ethereum free pass speech in 2018, it really didn't lead to lasting utility. That first mover's advantage led to a little, moment for Ethereum. Didn't really have much of a moment last bull run, though, did it? And we're seeing the DTCCs choosing Canton. DTCCs choosing XLM Stellar. The DTCC is including XRP Ledger in their patents for this technology, not Ethereum. And so the advantage that we now have is because we had to go fight in the court. And you look at this slideshow that I presented last night, this is the opportunity gap right here. The fact that Ripple is moving almost none of the 16 trillion that they settled last year on any chain, not the XRP ledger, not on any blockchain. That's an opportunity gap. Not quite as big as the $4.7 quadrillion opportunity gap for the DTCC to bring on chain. Now, here's the quick warning I'm going to give you, because other people want to drum up hype and clickbait and narratives off this DTCC Go Live event in July that I think extends past the point at which we should get excited about this. We absolutely should be excited about this. This is absolutely legitimate hopium backed by fundamental adoption and utility that we want. But understand this important part. They don't take it from 0 to 4.7 quadrillion in one day, flip of the switch. So for anybody saying that XRP needs to be at $1,000 by this go live date this month so that it can handle all 4.7 quadrillion, stop. We have to stop that in the XRP community. We have to stop that in the Stellar, in the utility community of digital assets. We mistakenly take the total addressable market and then, we look at, okay, DTCC is going live. And the real full go live date's actually in October. And we say, okay, we need to be able to settle 4.7 quadrillion by July or by October. We're going to watch them bring it on chain, but it's not all at once. And for starters, they are also choosing Canton. That's what they've announced publicly. Canton to start, XLM Stellar later this year or 2027. And then XRP is included in the patent, and Ripple Prime is a part of the working group to put together this tokenization pilot. Right here, 50 plus firms are building this tokenization pilot with the DTCC. And the DTCC patent right here names XRP Ledger and Stellar as compatible networks for digital liquidity tokens. And this goes even further, right? As Nadine explained in the Holy Trinity moment, you need the US dollar. You need digital cash as well too. Well, that's where RLUSD comes in. And RLUSD has been expanding rapidly on the XRP ledger. Now, almost half of the RLUSD supply is on the XRP ledger versus Ethereum. RLUSD has become the most traded asset issued on the XRP ledger. And it powers global markets, just like the DTCC just said. RLUSD contributes to XRP's on-chain economy. RLUSD trading feeds economic activity on XRP as measured by XRP fee burn. It all comes back to the original concept behind the XRP ledger and the reason it allows anyone to issue stablecoins and has a built-in DEX was because they thought every bank would want to issue its own stablecoin. At the time, the banks didn't. Seems that the XRP ledger was 15 years ahead of the trend. And this is Matt Hamilton, used to work at Ripple, commenting on the stablecoin announcement, OpenUSD, that came out yesterday. And see, everybody's still trying to figure this out, whether it's the DTCC, this open standard, new stablecoin initiative that Ripple's also a part of, along with BlackRock and many other banks and institutions. All the banks are coming together. Everybody's trying to figure out tokenization. Everybody's trying to figure out how to bring payments on chain. The XRP ledger's already been doing it for over 12 years. The XRP ledger has already been running flawlessly during that entire time. The XRP ledger was always ready with the DEX so that anybody could bring their stablecoin or issued asset on chain and they could transact it using a neutral bridge currency XRP and use XRP to build out liquidity for their asset that they want to tokenize. Do you see where all of this goes? The DTCC can say that they're going to use Canton to start. We know Canton doesn't have the track record that XRP Ledger does. By the way, I own Canton. Right? They're going to use Stellar. There's a reason why we've always kept a little bag of Stellar. But line up all these chains, line up all of the real institutional adoption and progress that we have. The XRP Ledger is probably going to be the one that fills that gap, that opportunity gap of 0 being on chain to Ripple bringing 16 trillion on chain, 0 being on chain to the DTCC bringing 4.7 quadrillion on chain. I'm going to go pull fresh data for Swift and some of these other networks and then put it together in a visual so everybody can see it. The opportunity gap is none of it is moving on chain today, not because they don't want to. They've been proof of concept, proof of test, and no regulatory clarity. Only a few. XRP has clarity, and the DTCC has clarity. Everybody else waits for the Clarity Act legislation to get passed. So this is the massive opportunity gap. XRP is ready to fill it. How high of a price of XRP are we going to have? I'm here for that journey. I'm here for that experience. I think it's going to be a fun time. You guys let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't already, please help us by liking this video, hyping it up, and sharing it out far and wide. Help somebody new learn about the digital asset opportunity gap that is right in front of us. It is quantifiable and it is clear as day. Thank you. God bless you all.